this one I know is really sort of in your heart because you got married in Indonesia.
I did. We did. We got married in 2014, and actually that's just after that is when I started writing and creating recipes and cooking. And so so this was actually one of the meals that I used to enjoy the most whenever we visited. And we haven't been back for a very long time. In fact, since our wedding. So I'm desperate to go back. So I tend to just make the food and enjoy it. And obviously, today we're going to be using your spaghetti.
Okay.
So it has transformed my life because it literally gives me the opportunity to really enjoy pasta again, and not have to constantly be spiralizing courgette.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely fantastic. This is so quick to make. It's quicker probably to make than ordering a takeaway.
Okay,
so,
I like that.
Yeah.
Just convenience is what Fibrehydrates is about. You know, when you use regular spaghetti, 20 minutes in the pan to sort of become soft or the right sort of texture. You can cook the whole meal in less than 20 minutes often when you're using the Fibrehydrates. And I'm sure if you watch many of the programs with Emma is a type 1 diabetic, which means that although some people say, oh, just take your insulin, you can eat what you like, you're a firm believer of take the minimum amount by cutting down the carbohydrates. I
think so, yes. I mean, obviously, a diet has to be one that you can sustain and you can afford and you can stick with and that works for you. But, you know, low carb, for me, we have a weekly budget and we don't spend a huge amount of money on food. We don't buy takeaways or anything like that. And everything is freshly cooked. I mean, at the moment, my daughters and I are constantly out picking blackberries.
Brilliant.
And enjoying blackberries. And obviously, you know, they're, as a berry, they're wonderfully low carb.
Yeah.
But as a type 1 diabetic, it is hard. It's a really, really hard disease. It's lifelong. It's 24/7. It's literally like having another job on top of your job, on top of your children, which are also like a job, aren't they? They're lovely children. But it is hard and it is complicated, and it doesn't all just boil down to the food you eat. It's everything from stress to anything really. Worry, happiness, sadness, everything affects your blood sugar. The weather, I mean, the weather has been so beautiful recently, but my blood sugar hates heat. Really? Literally. Well, so I find that I go really insulin resistant, which is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Anyway, in this recipe, I'm going to be using chicken. You could use prawns.
Yeah.
They would be a great alternative. And yeah, it's really.
And when you say Indonesian food, what are typical Indonesian ingredients?
Well, in Indonesia, they typically use things like lemongrass. We're not using lemongrass in this, but we're using spring onion, fresh flavors, things like coriander, turmeric we're using as the spice. Things are really, really bright. They're really, really vibrant. It's, and it ties in with the country, the people, the culture, lots of garlic, lots of ginger. Yeah, brilliant. So look, really, really, really fragrant and delicious.
Right then, what's going in first?
Right, so we'll start with adding a little bit of coconut oil.
Yeah.
Of course, you could use olive oil, which is also brilliant. We've just got this to hand, so that's.
I just think with Asian dishes, I mean, I use loads of olive oil, especially if it's like a European dish, but for Asian dishes, I think coconut oil is just more authentic.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And actually, we are going to be using coconut milk in this dish as well, so it ties in really, really nicely. So we're going to start off by softening our spring onion and our red pepper.
Don't know why, I always normally start by putting my chicken in, but probably I'll do it too early.
Well, obviously, I mean, you could do it.
It gets a bit tougher then, doesn't it?
It does, it dries out.
Yeah.
And with something like this, what I tend to do is add the chicken in, not towards the end, but just before I add in the coconut milk. And so it kind of, I suppose, boils it in a way, and then it keeps it really, really tender.
Nice. Yeah.
But if you're worried about it, or you would rather do it the other way around. When my husband makes cottage pie, he cooks the mince, then takes it out, and then cooks the vegetables, and then puts it all back in together. Do you find that strange?
Yeah,
I find that strange. So I'm like, but it all ends up in the same pot. Like, surely just put it all in together. And but his mum was a chef,
right?
And so he grew up in a pub. And anyway, that's how he does it. We agree to disagree.
I think that's a great thing about cooking. You know, a lot of people are scared of it. But the reality is there are no rules.
No.
You know, make sure certainly chicken, make sure it's cooked.
Yeah.
Things you don't have to worry about so much. But there are no rules. And if you make a dish one day by accident and it's brilliant, keep doing it that way.
Well, exactly. And at the end of the day, as long as it tastes good in the end and it looks good, it doesn't matter how you've cooked it, right?
Yeah.
Right, so it's all softening off. So we've got our red pepper and our spring onion. We're going to add in some ginger. And
I noticed you swapped to a deeper pan, actually.
We did. Yeah. we had to, because I realised that I'm going to be adding coconut milk, and obviously this is like a soup recipe.
Yeah.
And I just, so yeah, we did swap pans. So I do suggest adding a deep pan.
Yeah.
If you've got one to hand. So you're adding in your ginger and your garlic. You can smell, it smells amazing.
And some people don't buy the paste, and I go, look, depends what you're after. You know, some days, if you've got the time to chop garlic, which can take a while, chop it. Nothing beats fresh, but also pastes, or in a jar, or
and as we've discussed like previously in other videos, like you've just got to be careful about all the added ingredients, right? But for convenience, and if you're only using a little bit, then the pastes are brilliant. They really are, because they're so quick. They can literally transform a dish. They taste good. Why not use them?
Absolutely.
So there we go. We've popped in our ginger and our garlic. So now we are going to be adding in our chicken. We're going to cook that off quickly. Fry that off.
And I like your tip of not doing the chicken at the beginning, which is what I would normally do.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it just overcooks and it gets a bit chewy.
It does, and you don't want chewy chicken. Not in a soup.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
No, please. Honestly. So you're going to, quickly fry off your chicken.
Yeah.
Coat all the sides. Then we're going to add in our turmeric.
I love turmeric. It's just good for your health.
It is.
Adds colour to any dish.
Well, you know what I take? I take your turmeric or turmeric tablets every single day.
Yeah.
And they're so brilliant because they're anti-inflammatory. And actually, I do have to say, when I forget to take them and when I don't take them, I do find that I do get like joint pain or pains that tend to be at bay seem to come back. But I think if I was on a desert island, turmeric would be probably one of the 2 or 3 spices I'd have to have. What else would you have?
Garlic.
Yeah.
Ginger.
Yeah.
They've all got medicinal properties in them. So probably those 3.
I think I would also add in, I would have cumin. Love cumin.
Yeah.
And a herb, I would have coriander. Love coriander.
I put coriander in virtually everything. My sister-in-law hates the taste.
So does my husband.
Really? Coriander?
Hates it.
Well, that's it. I was about to say, she's the only person I know that doesn't like it. But your husband as well?
He hates it.
I just love it.
I know. It's so fresh. Like, I don't know why, but I'm not a massive fan of parsley. Not a massive fan of parsley, but yeah, love it. Love the colour of it, but you've just got to be careful with your cloves, which obviously. Right, so we've done that. So we're going to add.
That just looks great already.
Well, it's vibrant, isn't it? And then eventually you're going to add in your coconut milk, and then to finish you're going to add some lime and some chilli, and then
the noodles or the spaghetti, and away you go.
Literally the noodles right at the end.
Yeah.
Because your noodles take what? A minute?
Minute, 2 minutes tops. Yeah.
And just in terms of like preparing your noodles, so once we've opened the packet, we literally
strain them.
We just strain them.
Yeah.
And they look like this, and you pop them in the pan. Flash fry them, and you're good to go, right?
Yeah. And if you've ever tried these types of noodles before elsewhere and it says wash, 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 that's because most brands that do these noodles put chemicals in to extend the shelf life. You'll notice with ours, the shelf life is never more than 12 months because we don't put the chemicals in. So actually, you don't even have to wash them at all. Literally put them in to the sieve. Oh, you can wash them, drain out the excess water, and then put them in the food. It's so simple.
Right, so now what I would suggest is you add in your chilli. You don't want to overcook your chilli. You don't want your chilli to disappear.
Yeah.
So you're just going to add in your chilli now. Continue just to move it around the
And do you like
pan.
hot chilies, medium chilies?
Depends really.
Depends who you're cooking for.
It does, yeah. If my children are obviously having this, then probably not.
Yeah.
I probably leave it out. And that's the great thing about a lot of the recipes, especially the recipes on your website and on the Primal Living app, is that they're so adaptable. You know, you can take things out. The fundamental ingredients, the method is there. But if if you're not a meat eater and you want to replace chicken with something like aubergine, then you can do that. If you don't like chili, take it out. It's not difficult. We're trying to show how easy it is to make a delicious recipe that I suppose mimics higher carb recipes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, so now we're just going to add in some lime.
Yeah.
Nice and fresh. I'm going to add in half a lime and then I'm going to add in a little bit more to serve when we do. Quite a tough lime here. And then the coconut milk, which we will add in. And we've got a whole tin of coconut milk.
Tell you what, lime is just brilliant. Almost all Asian dishes, a little bit of lime.
There's your coconut milk.
Okay, look at the colour straight away. It just looks delicious.
It's just so bright, isn't it? Yeah. And you've got the red of the pepper, the red of the chili, the yellow. We don't want to overcook this now, so I reckon we reduce the heat.
Okay.
We're also going to be adding in 200 millilitres of water.
Yeah.
So that we're kind of creating a broth.
Mm-hmm.
You can add, if you really want to, you can obviously add sea salt.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be adding it in this dish because there's lime.
Yeah.
And lime, I know it's not like sea salt, but it really is a really powerful flavour.
Yeah.
Make sure
really
we get all that
does.
lime.
Again, lime is another one like salt. Like garlic, like vanilla, that the brain just lights up with delight. And here we go then.
We can just add in the noodles.
The most important
if we crank up the heat for the last minute.
Okay.
And then
so literally the noodles are the last thing that goes in, pretty much. Yep. Sorry, I'm doing your job again.
No, please do.
Wow. Don't they look great?
And then to garnish, we're going to be using some fresh coriander, which we can just chop up. And then what I tend to do is add maybe a quarter of a lime, so that you can add it if you want.
Yeah.
And then a little bit, just a bit more to garnish, really finely sliced spring onion.
Well, over the top,
over the top.
Just for presentation,
and then that's
bit more flavour. Well, that looks great. So you garnish away then. Look at the colours in that. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And again, for somebody like yourself, type 1 diabetic, this would pretty much be off the menu, wouldn't it, really? Or you'd be then having to have more insulin, or...
Yeah, I'd need lots of insulin, and I would need to count all the carbohydrates. And as a type 1 diabetic who's not very good at maths, having to constantly think about the amount of carbs that are in any dish is really, really hard. And it's just another thing you have to think about, and to be honest, it's another thing I would rather not think about.
So that looks great already. I was going to show that to the camera. That looks fabulous already. But now you're just going to garnish with...
I'm just going to garnish with some coriander.
Fantastic.
So let's just add
and then
some green. And then I'm going to just chop up a little bit more really thinly sliced spring onion. And you know what? If you did want to make this thicker, if you weren't, broth wasn't your thing, and you would rather, what you could add is a little bit of your Fibrehydrate, a little bit of your flour, and then it would just naturally, thicken really nicely.
The Fibrehydrate flour is a get out of jail at the last minute on so many dishes.
Yeah, if you mess up your gravy, add in a little bit of Fibrehydrate flour, and you've got and it thickens again with homemade jams, with compots, with anything. It's
look at that.
You could add some smashed up peanuts or chopped nuts, whatever you want really. You could add, if you wanted just a little bit more colour, you could add some fresh chili, and then just add a little wedge of lime.
Yeah, look at that, restaurant quality, eh? Look at that, that is beautiful, well done indeed. Hopefully you found that simple in many ways, and like Emma said, with virtually every dish that you find on the website, once you've got the Fibrehydrates in there, you can add almost any flavours you want, and you end up with something very authentic and full of flavour.